Textbooks, I couldn't even afford to buy a lot of them. We got a $1,000 grant from Centrelink, or I did, twice a year at the start of each semester, and that usually went on, by the end of paying bills and stuff, and I have obviously had to have transport, so car, things like that. I couldn't afford to buy most of my books.
So when I started uni, I was in a full-time job with Sturt University, and I left that completely to start my degree and study full-time on campus. At the same time, my daughter had just started school, so I wasn't, paying for childcare anymore, but I still had to go back to at least 50% of the wage. I was used to living off, and really, I knew it was going to be tough, and it was just very much sitting down, looking at my budget and just calculating every cent to see if I could actually afford to do it.
Well, I was prepared. I did have quite a bit of savings. I was working a fair bit, but then everything kind of happened, and then my computer crashed, so then I had to buy a computer, and I spent $800 on textbooks, and then I had to, throughout uni, I've had to get immunisations and uniforms, and I kind of just got left with nothing. So I was prepared in having savings, but I wasn't prepared. I should have had more for those extra things, but I didn't think about that.
I had worked out a budget. I sat down with Dad and worked out a budget, so I knew what my subjects were going to cost, and I knew what my textbooks were going to cost and that sort of thing, and I'd sort of planned out how much money I was going to be getting in, whether I needed to use HEX or whether I didn't, and those sorts of things. I think the thing I didn't prepare so much for was more living costs, so more cost of groceries and eating out, and how much more I ate out now that I had to cook for myself, and those sorts of things as well. So
I had to learn how to budget, budget all my stuff, and grocery shopping, that was all what Mum done. So I had to learn all that type of stuff, and I learned how to save money because Mum and Dad's not here now. You gotta learn how to do things yourself.
Not really prepared at all. Yeah, that's probably a good way to describe it. I wasn't really prepared for how much it would probably cost, yeah. So I hexsteaded, I've hexsteaded all my subjects, and I was expecting to pay for textbooks, that's something I've always known. So that's probably about it. That's probably as far as it goes. What I wasn't expecting as a science student was uniforms for nurses, but you need all of your immunisations up to date. You need police checks, you need first aid certificates, you need your flu vaccinations, and then, travelling to uni every day. I mean, that was one, but that's a pretty big one. I didn't think it would cost so much, and even then it depends on, what the companies want to do and how much they charge you for fuel. Pracs, you have to go away for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You're not working, and that's a crap load of money. You pay for accommodation, for food, fuel to get there. But there was quite a lot that I wasn't expecting. And then there's smaller things that pop up. Equipment that you'll need as a nurse, like stethoscopes and, just even the little watches, if you're not getting the cheap little rubber ones, which I did, some of those can cost a bit of money, and, torches, and there's just a whole list of things that you can end up that slowly do cost a little bit as you build up, yeah.
The biggest expense for us is prac. We have month-long pracs, which are self-funded. My first prac I did over 600 kilometres from home, so I had to pay for sort of 4 weeks accommodation, my food, transport to and from work, things like that you don't expect to have to fork out a couple of $1,000s just to sort of get your degree.
Silly things like internet. Because you're on the internet all the time researching and checking, and you get your books and you get that, but you need to check that, and you need to cross-reference that, and then you got to get... So the internet cost, I know it's probably silly, but it's true. And then residentials, you've got to take time to get down there, fuel or whatever, then you got to stay, and you got to eat, and then you got to come back, and so you've got that time there. And it might not, that all those costs you just don't think about. So you're paying rent, you're paying power, paying off car, paying this, paying that, doing the other thing, living off our study, working when you can, full-time study. It's just hard. It's really hard.
Childcare. Like last res school, it cost me $400 for that week, and that's my pension. I try and put money away, so I take money out of my pension to put away for res, which it is hard because I've got a 20-month-old who's nappies, but I also have to, so I don't feel isolated from the group, I go and buy my lunch and sit with the group. I had a bit of knowledge of how expensive it was, but I compared the price compared to when I get my degree. Once I get my degree, I'm that motivated I'm going to earn a mint.